Imagine camping with your friends, and something so terrifying hits your tent that you slice it open from the inside and run into minus 40 degrees Celsius snow, barefoot. No footprints, no witnesses, just 9 bodies scattered in the dark. This is the Dyatlov Pass Mystery.
If you love true survival mysteries like this, make sure to subscribe to Hello Stories.
In January 1959, 9 students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute planned a challenging winter trek across the Ural Mountain, a trip meant to earn them the highest level of hiking certification in the Soviet Union. These weren't amateurs. Every one of them had survived brutal expeditions before. They trained together, prepared together, and trusted each other with their lives. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, mapped out every step: the supply drops, the rest points, the exact return date. Their journals were full of jokes and optimism. Photos show them smiling, building their sled, tightening their packs, unaware that this would be their last journey. On January 27th, they began the climb into the frozen Ural Mountains. The weather was harsh, but nothing they hadn't faced before. Still, somewhere along that trail, something started to go wrong. But here's what most people forget. The Dyatlov team didn't walk into the mountains blindly. They were young, but they weren't stupid. These 9 hikers trained for months. They practiced skiing with full packs. They tested gear in sub-zero nights. They mapped the entire route with military precision. Igor Dyatlov even carried a special notebook where he wrote down backup plans, alternate paths, and emergency procedures for every scenario. They were over-prepared. They were disciplined. They were experienced. And that's what makes what happened next so disturbing. Because on January 23, 1959, when the team finally left Sverdlovsk, they had no idea that one tiny decision, one change so small it looked harmless at the time, would seal all of their fates. It happened at the very start of the expedition, when one of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, suddenly fell sick. Severe pain, numb legs, could barely walk. The group argued. Do they postpone the trip? Return home? Wait a few days? Finally, Dyatlov made the call. Yuri goes home. We continue. That choice, that single fork in the road, is why Yuri Yudin lived, and the other 9 never came back. Because after Yuri turned around, the group entered terrain no one survived before, and no one has survived since. They kept hiking toward the Ural Mountains, and with every kilometer, they stepped deeper into a place the local Mansi tribes called the Mountain of the Dead. After Yuri Yudin headed back, the remaining group pushed forward. 9 hikers, walking straight into a monster they couldn't see coming. For days, everything went according to plan. They skied across frozen rivers, climbed sharp ridges, and slept in makeshift snow pits. Their diaries from this part of the journey? Still cheerful, still laughing, still alive. But on February 1st, the mountain made its move. As they approached Ural, the wind suddenly turned violent. Blinding whiteout. Wind screaming at 60 kilometers per hour. Temperatures dropping to minus 30 degrees Celsius and falling fast. Visibility? Almost zero. This is where the fatal mistake happened. According to the official plan, they were supposed to turn left into a protected valley, a safe route, sheltered from storms. But because of the whiteout, the group drifted right instead, straight onto the exposed slope of the Mountain of the Dead. No trees, no shelter, nothing to break the wind. Dyatlov realized the mistake, but it was too late. Turning back in that blizzard meant losing daylight and becoming disoriented again. So he made the second and final devastating decision. We camp here. Not in the forest, not in the valley, but on the open slope, where the wind cut like knives and the snow buried every sound. The team spent hours cutting into the snow to set up their tent. They ate. They wrote in their diaries. They tried to sleep. And then, sometime after midnight, something happened that scared all 9 of them so badly, they slashed their own tent open from the inside and ran into the storm half naked. What could make trained, disciplined, freezing cold hikers do something so insane? That's what the next section reveals.
If you're fascinated by unbelievable true stories like Roy Sullivan's, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell so you never miss another tale of courage, survival, and the extraordinary.
When rescuers finally reached the Dyatlov campsite, they didn't find chaos. They found one impossible detail. The tent was cut open from the inside. Not unzipped, not torn by wind. Sliced, clean and deliberate, as if the hikers were trying to escape something inside with them. Inside the tent, everything was still there. Boots, coats, gloves, flashlights, cameras, diaries, food, half-eaten. 9 experienced hikers walked into minus 30 degrees Celsius snow without the gear that would have kept them alive. That's not panic. That's terror. The first footprints. Rescuers followed a single-file line of footprints leading downhill. Bare feet, socks, thin slippers. Footprints that showed they were walking calmly, not running. That contradiction alone still breaks experts' brains. The tracks ended near a small forest, and that's where they found the first 2 bodies. The cedar tree. Under a tall cedar stood the remains of a small fire. And next to it, 2 hikers, almost naked, their skin covered in strange burns. Their hands were shredded. Not wounded, shredded. As if they had climbed the tree blindly in total desperation. Broken branches up to 5 meters high suggested exactly that. Why would they claw up a tree in the middle of a blizzard? What were they trying to see? Or escape? The next 3 bodies. About 300 to 400 meters from the tree, they found Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, spaced apart, as if they were crawling back toward the tent, trying to return, but never made it. Slobodin's skull had a minor fracture, not enough to kill him. The real killer was the cold. These first 5 seemed to die from exposure. The next 4? Their injuries changed the entire story. The ravine bodies. 2 months later, buried under deep snow, rescuers found the remaining 4. These weren't frostbite victims. One had a crushed chest equal to a car crash. One had massive internal bleeding. One had a shattered skull. One had her tongue torn out, missing her eyes and part of her lips. And the craziest part? No external bruising, as if the force hit them from the inside. A fall couldn't explain all those injuries. An avalanche didn't match the tent evidence. A fight among them? Impossible. No defensive wounds. This was the moment investigators realized. Something happened that night they couldn't explain. Once the bodies were recovered, investigators immediately ran into something that made no sense. 1. Radiation on their clothes. Several of the hikers' clothes tested positive for high radiation levels. These weren't trace amounts. They were levels you'd expect from contact with military-grade materials. And here's the kicker. The Soviet Union tried to hide this test result. You don't hide something unless it matters. 2. The classified for 30 years order. As soon as the final report was written, the government sealed the entire case, locking it away for decades. They didn't declare an accident. They didn't name a cause. They just wrote one sentence, a compelling natural force. That's not a conclusion, that's a cover. 3. Strange orange lights in the sky. Multiple witnesses in the region, including soldiers, reported seeing bright orange fireballs in the sky on the exact night the hikers died. Military rockets? Weapons tests? Experimental tech? Whatever it was, those lights appeared again in the following days. This matters because 4. The hikers' camera photos. One of the recovered cameras had a final frame, blurry, rushed, taken in panic. It shows a bright glowing object in the sky. Not a star, not a lantern, something moving. And they photographed it moments before their deaths. Coincidence? Yeah, right. 5. The skin discoloration. Several bodies had abnormal skin color, orange, brownish, even slightly burned. Official explanation? None. Unofficial explanation? Something with heat or radiation passed near them. 6. The incomplete autopsy reports. Experts reviewing the files decades later noticed missing pages, missing notes, and inconsistencies in the injury descriptions. You don't lose autopsy pages, you remove them. 7. The footprints. No signs of intruders, no animal tracks, no military boot prints, just the hikers walking calmly into their deaths. That is the most chilling detail. They weren't running from something attacking them. They were walking away from something they saw, or heard, or realized that made them abandon their only shelter in a blizzard. After all these investigations, all these theories, all these experts arguing for decades, the truth is still buried under the snow. 9 experienced hikers running half-naked into a blizzard, massive internal injuries without any sign of a struggle, radiation on their clothes, footsteps that simply stop in the snow. Nothing fits perfectly. And that's what makes this case dangerous, because every explanation leaves one question unanswered. So now it comes down to you. What do you think happened on the Dyatlov Pass that night? Did they panic from an avalanche? Did they see something no one was supposed to see? Or was there a force out there that we still can't explain? Tell me your theory in the comments, because after 65 years, we're no closer to the truth than the day those bodies were found.
Thank you for watching. If this video didn't waste your valuable time or added any value to your life, even just a little, please consider subscribing to Hello Stories. Until next time, goodbye, warriors.